Okay, so you have limited experience with firearms. You're thinking about getting into the world of firearms. Maybe you want a gun for personal protection. Maybe you want to, have a gun for hunting, or do target shooting, or have a home protection gun, or maybe you're looking to get a concealed carry gun. And a lot of big questions come up. The biggest one is, okay, where do I start? And I hope with this video that I can cover these questions, cover some common mistakes that people make. This being said, I'm going to try to do it from a perspective if I had to start all over again on collecting firearms, and I also want to bring up some mistakes that I see people make. So let's start off with mistake number one. Okay, this is a common mistake I see among a lot of people who, primarily young, just trying to get a gun, any gun. They got to have one because they're becoming a firearm owner. All right. Well, here's the thing. This gun, this gun, this gun, this gun, this gun, this gun, they're all not equal. They're not built equally. They have different purposes, and they have different standards. Too many times I've seen somebody just starting out, want to get a gun, they haven't really saved much up. They got to get it right now, They got to join the crowd. A common mistake I'll see is they'll get this gun right here. And this is going to be their all-around rifle. I mean, granted, it's not an expensive rifle at all. It's an excellent shooter. You use it as a good deer rifle or a good range rifle. Rounds are not expensive either. But for home protection, personal protection, first off, you got to think it's a bolt-action rifle. You have to fire follow-up shots. I mean, and even being skilled. I mean, that's about as fast as you're going to get them off. So, again, I mean, and then look at the rounds they shoot. Those rounds are going to go through walls. You're going to have to worry about over-penetration. If you live in an area with anybody else around, they're not going to appreciate those rounds going through their home. If you ever have to use that rifle to protect yourself. Now, granted, there are some people that are pretty cool, and they're going to be like, okay, well, you fucked up our property, you almost shot us, but, I understand, you were trying to protect yourself, but god dang, get something better. You shouldn't try to use something like that for personal protection. A more sensible option, obviously, is the guy, get a shotgun like this, which is also not quite so expensive, double buck, as opposed to 7.62 by 54R, and you're gonna have less of a chance of over penetration. You're still gonna have to aim. I can't tell you how many people who sit there and think, well, you can't miss with a shotgun, and are proven horribly wrong. But yeah, I mean, this would be a better option, for home protection, right? Now, and it's good you're thinking for home protection and whatnot. Then you come to, actual more marksmanship stuff. And then you don't have a rifle or anything like that, or you can't conceal carry that. I mean, you might be able to carry that in your truck, obviously, depending on state laws. You might be able to carry that in your car for personal protection, but it's going to be hard to get to, if you need it like right then and there. All right. So the idea that you have to buy a gun right away. I mean, now granted, unless there's an imminent threat, it might behoove you to save up some money and do a little bit of research yourself into figuring out what your primary purpose for that first firearm is and what you truly want. Because again, not all guns are created equal. Again, you can get something 100 yards off with this, but again, as I say, horrible idea for home protection or personal protection for some aforementioned reasons. And now, top that off, the recoil on this, is a lot more than, many guns. But you can go out and get something like this, obviously, not considering that this is a pre-1986 Walther PP, but, something similar to it. Now, is it going to be sufficient enough to protect you? Possibly. Home defense scenario or maybe concealed carry scenario, it might do the trick. But then you want to take it out to go shoot at a range, you're obviously not going to be near as accurate as you would with that Mosin Nagant. So again, you've got to take into account what you want really, and to save up that money for it a little bit. A good step, you want to get into the industry, start another savings account. Start putting money into that savings account, to build up your funds. You want to get into this hobby, that's a good place to start, especially if you don't know what exactly you want yet. The one exception is that if you have an imminent threat to your own life and you need something to protect yourself, and obviously you want to make sure you're compliant with state laws. You don't want to turn yourself into a felon before you even start. But a good place to start is saving up money. Now, if it's an imminent threat, we'll get into this. All right. Now, this one usually comes up when I'm talking to somebody who's never thought about ever having to use a firearm in their life for personal protection. Never thought about even having to protect themselves in a realistic sense. These are usually the same people that come up to me, well, why do you carry a gun? It's not like your life's any real danger. You haven't had a boyfriend that's stalking you, or you haven't had a crazy ex that's trying to kill you. You haven't had anybody trying to kill you. You ain't involved in any gangster shit, are you? Well, no. But, again, do I know a situation like that's not going to happen? Hell, even walking down the street, do I know for a fact that there isn't going to be somebody looking to maybe steal what I have on me, maybe harm me for the hell of it? Maybe they're just batshit crazy. That sort of thing. Do I know for a fact that maybe, one day I don't get involved with somebody and she happens to have a fucking nutso ex? Well, no, I don't. And I've had friends in that boat who've had a girlfriend. They never thought they needed a gun in their life before to protect themselves. And now they're wanting to borrow a gun from me. But they've had a girlfriend that has a crazy ex, or, maybe they're a girl themselves. All of a sudden, they find out their now ex-boyfriend is fucking nuts. And they're not sure that RO is going to protect them, which is not. If their boyfriend is truly fucking nuts, that RO is not going to protect them at all. But they've never considered carrying a firearm before in their life, and this is why I preach to people when they bring up that question. Really, you haven't seriously considered looking into having a firearm for personal protection. And now all of a sudden, that situation happens. Now, you got to play catch up in a short amount of time. So one of the first things they'll do is they'll go out and get the smallest, cheapest handgun they can find. Well, not something like this, but maybe, something, more modern but similarly built, and just hope that that's sufficient. Maybe this is 32. Maybe they'll get something in 380. Magazine capacity on this one is 8 rounds. Maybe they get that 380 in like 6 or 7 rounds, and hope that does the trick. Again, as I said before, not all firearms are created equal. And again, depending on your state law, you just can't throw one of these things in your purse or put one of these things in your pants and just walk around with it. Most of the time, and I think all states, with the exception of maybe Vermont, Arizona, and Alaska and Wyoming, maybe, you have to have a license to conceal carry. You have to go through that process. Now, in Texas, we have this thing called glove box carry, meaning you can keep that firearm loaded and concealed. You can keep the pistol loaded and concealed in your vehicle as long as you are not being pulled over for anything other than a minor traffic violation. You're good. Now, again, it's not the same in all states. So, again, you got to look into getting a concealed carry license. But the big thing is you want to have that tool ready. Now, I would suggest, personally, for a model G19, it's simple. There are no safeties. You've got a decent magazine capacity for its size, 15 rounds. Again, 15-round magazine may not be legal. It's not legal in all 50 states. You live in California, you got to get the 10-round magazine. You can't get a Generation 4. New Jersey, you can't have, think anything over, 15 rounds, and you can't have hollow points. So, again, a 9mm might be a bad choice due to overpenetration. So, at New Jersey, you might want to just stick with a 45. New York, can't have anything over 10 rounds. And again, both New Jersey and New York, you have to get a license to purchase. And in California, you even have to get a permit to purchase a pistol, and you have a 10-day waiting period. So, it's kind of hard to help you if you live in one of those states. But say you live in Texas. This is what I suggest, all right? It's more pricier than the 380 you were probably planning on getting. But for the money, it's a lot better buy. And plus, a 9mm ammo, you can buy in bulk. It's cheap. You can get out of the range of practice with a 9mm a lot more than you can a 380. And the 9mm does have a little bit more stopping power than the 380, which is another good thing about the 9mm. As well as this pistol right here doesn't have much recoil. Most 9mm, you get a big enough platform, doesn't take a big platform, and you can get a pistol with manageable recoil for the beginner shooter even. Now, you get something with in a 380, most of those platforms are so small that it does take some building up to the skill to handle the recoil effectively if you're going to use it to protect yourself. So again, you got to think about what you're getting. All right. Now, assuming your state obviously doesn't let you conceal carry right away, assuming your state doesn't have glove box carry, assuming your state has additional permit to purchase requirements on a pistol, another route to go would be to get a shotgun. A good home defense shotgun. Something like this. Now, this is obviously a 12 gauge. Now, if you're going to go double-aught buck, remember it's got more recoil than the birdshot, but the double-aught buck will be much more effective at personal protection than the birdshot, especially if the person's coming in there with specific intent to harm you. Okay, usually if they're doing that, they've made their mind up, and a little birdshot is not going to stop them. You're going to have a much more difficult time stopping them with birdshot than you are buckshot. So again, this might be an option, if you're only worried about protecting yourself in your home. However, drawbacks to it, you're going to have some recoil with this one. Now, it's going to be effective at stopping them. You're still going to have to aim and shoot, but it's going to be effective at stopping them. So, again, another factor to consider. But if it was on me, I would go with the G19, ideally. Get a concealed carry license as soon as you can. Immediately after you get it, start reading through the manual, looking at safe operations, looking at how to operate safely. Start training yourself on how to operate the pistol. Take some classes as soon as possible. Get your concealed carry license as soon as possible and build your way up there. My advice for everyone else who doesn't have an immediate threat, at least consider it. Because there have been plenty of situations where a lot of people say, well, I'll never need a gun. And then, something like the Rodney King riots happen. And all of a sudden people, wait, I can't get a gun for another 10 days? Well, yeah, that's what you chose. That's what you voted for in California. Thankfully, I live in Texas. But again, immediate threats, that's a very serious one. And it's one of the reasons why, again, you should consider having a firearm to protect yourself, even if you don't have an immediate threat come up. Okay, so you're not in any immediate danger. You don't have to worry about a direct threat just yet. I mean, you live in a fairly decent neighborhood. Okay, so starting green. Which should be your first firearm? Well, I would go for the personal protection. Still. Get something like a good G19. Reasonably priced, reliable, standard capacity of 15 rounds, 9mm of the ammunition. Always is on the shelf, unless, of course, Obama talks about gun control again. Then the 9mm seems to disappear from the shelf. But at most reasonably priced, you could take to the range practice with it. It's a decent personal protection caliber. There's a lot of personal protection ammo available to you. So this is the one I would go with as first gun. That would be me. You want something to protect yourself, you want something to protect your future collection, and you want something to protect any other residents in your home. Obviously. So this would be the very first one I'd go for. All right. Once you've got that covered, on to our next step. The second one I'd pick up is my utility rifle. And what I mean by my utility rifle is the rifle I could go practice my basic rifle marksmanship with, something I could have for home protection, something that I could let others shoot in the future if they've never fired a gun or handled a gun before, something to teach other people with, something to teach myself with, something to have a good time at the range with. And what I've figured is my top pick for the utility rifle, obviously, is a good AR-15. Reason for that being, obviously, it's very versatile. Rounds are cheap. You could use this as a home protection rifle if you needed to. And you get to put the rail system on there, mount a tack light, get a foregrip, customize this rifle to you. You mount optics on there, which, believe it or not, are good things to have. It's got an adjustable stock, so that way if I'm taking somebody out to the range that has shorter arms, Maybe if they have medium-sized arms or, longer arms, you know. The stock is somewhat adjustable. Um, you know, recoil on this, again, almost nil. And that's a good thing. So, I mean, it's all around a good utility rifle. And, again, if you have something like the Rodney King riots happening in your area, this is a rifle that's going to get a crowd to go away real quick, which is something you want. So it's a good heavy-duty home protection rifle, too, if need be. All right, so now we're going to start talking about tailoring the collection to you. All right, so you've got your utility rifle and your personal protection pistol. What else do you want to do in the shooting sports? You want to, do some more planking, fun shooting, but, you want something a little different than the AR-15 because it's so generic, and you want something that's going to actually get your buddies at the range to say, whoa, that's a pretty dang cool rifle. Maybe something like this. Well, hey, maybe, just maybe, you want to get something more for trap shooting or bird hunting. Something like this will work wonders. Perhaps you want to get into more precision shooting or maybe more long-range shooting. M1A, excellent rifle. Excellent match-grade rifle. Very accurate. The point behind this, though, is just to get you into getting something out there that you're going to actually shoot and have a good time shooting. That's the big point behind your third gun. Again, I wouldn't advise something, that's just simply for collecting just yet. I would get something you want to get out there and shoot and enjoy a little bit. All right, so your fourth gun should be, kind of your novelty gun. This could be one, now that with this novelty gun, it should be one safe to shoot, one that they still make. But, it's rare, unique, and it's a fun gun to shoot. It's something that's going to get people's attention. This Desert Eagle is a good example, though. If you want to make sure you can handle the recoil before you get one of these, okay? Tell you that much right now. I've seen too many videos of people smacking themselves in the face with it. And if you get something too big and you can't handle, you're never going to have fun shooting it. And while, it might be something cool to have in your collection and maybe an investment, but honestly, if you can't shoot it, every once in a while, you don't have a good time shooting it, what's the purpose? At least for your fourth gun. Now, when we get into future guns, that might be something, that if you don't plan on shooting it, okay. If you just want it for your collection, okay. But right now, we're still focusing on firearms that you can still occasionally take out to the range and shoot. All right, and this would be one of them. Or who knows, maybe you get a remake of, say, an M1 Garand or an M1 Garand. Still a good shooter. Going to have some recoil still, too. But it's also got a little bit of historical value. And you can still shoot it. You want something interesting out there for, yourself and your friends to enjoy shooting. Something that everyone can say, wow, that's a unique gun. And that's what I would go with the fourth one. All right. So now your fifth one, that's where you're going to want to have. That's where you're going to want to start thinking about buying a gun that you might not have any intentions of ever shooting ever again. But you just want to have that, for either the historic value or the collector's value of it. And that's where the collector's gun would come into play. Now this Walther PP here, this would be a collector gun. They don't import these anymore. This is a very old model. I can tell it's a very old model. You can look up the serial number and tell. You can even look at the finishing and tell. Or you can look at the lanyard and tell it's a police model. Again, this is just something to, have and hold as a collector's item. If collecting firearms is going to be one of the things you want to do. Another great example of a collector's gun. They don't make these anymore. The Colt Python. This is a really good example of a good collector's gun. Firearms enthusiasts know about this. I mean, you're going to get a lot of props for having one of these, in the company of Firearms Enthusiasts. Something to add character, some real character to your collection. All right? So, again, you always got to have a collector's gun in there. Okay, guys, so this is how I would do it if I was having to start all over again from ground zero. These would be some of the mistakes I would avoid, some of the mistakes I've seen other people make, and more importantly, the right path to take when it comes to collecting guns and getting into the shooting sports. Now, ultimately, at the end of the day, your gun collection is going to be what you want, what you choose. And I wouldn't have it any other way. You got to have fun. This is your hobby, just the same as it is mine. So you got to fit it to how it works for you. You got to get what you want. This, again, as I say, is just a guide starting off. If you want some more advanced tips, I've got a video already out on how to make a collection that really stands out. I'll post a link below. Either that, you can go to my channel and check out the videos there. Y'all take her easy now, and I hope this video has given you a good insight to starting into the shooting hobby, firearm sports, and gun collecting. Y'all take her easy now.